Right, okay, folks, how are we doing? First video of many, and I thought it was important to start off things with a bit about nutrition because you deserve to know about nutrition and you're going to need to know about it if you want to be able to move forward successfully with your training and your health, fitness, and nutrition goals. Ignore that bottom left where it says Connor and Jack. This is a PowerPoint I've done before on nutrition and weight loss. And I'm just using that to voice over basically and send on to you. Okay, so with that being said, folks, let's get started. So, an overview of what I am going to all cover with you today. First of all, I'll talk a bit about myself since it is the first video you're going to get. I think it's important to know where I've been with training, what I've been able to do for myself, and what I've been able to do for clients as well in the process, and the experience and where I basically took my training beforehand, and continuing to take it. After that, we will then get started with more so on our nutrition or talk about weight loss as well. So weight loss simply because it is absolutely massive when it comes to nutrition. You probably have heard the saying before, you can't outtrain a bad diet, which in parts is true. So that's why it's very important to coincide the two. You can't really have one without doing the other. So we'll then go on to talk about obesity rates in the UK, and where we basically stand on that front, and can it be reversed. After that, we'll then talk about energy balance. I'm not want to go into too much detail about these points now because I will be once we get onto the slides. But that's basically just your calories in versus calories out is the short and narrow of it. What you need to be doing to either gain weight or lose weight. NEAT, which is ways of taking your activity up without actually realising you're taking it up without having to go to a gym. MyFitnessPal, the holy grail. A tool or an app you should all have. You should all be able to. You should all have downloaded now. I will go over that and how that should be set up. If I've not already sent you through your macronutrient guide to go through. We then go through our macronutrient and the importance they play in the body and the role they have. So we'll go over them: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. That's your macronutrients. After that, we'll then go on to talk about portion control because it's not so much, well, when it comes to weight loss anyway, or weight gain again, it's not so much what you eat, it's about how much you eat. Then from there, we'll talk about flexibility and moderation in foods, because that's so important if you want to do this moving forwards. And then last couple, we'll talk of ways of making less nutrient dense or being able to fit less nutrient dense foods in your diet. So things you can have in moderation, things you would maybe have gave yourself into trouble for having beforehand that you can now fit in. And then sustainability, because that's probably the most important thing we will talk about, is basically how you're going to adhere to the training and the nutrition side of things. Is it going to be sustainable long term? Because if it's not, what is the point in doing it? We need to find something that you enjoy, and we need to find ways that you're going to enjoy it to some extent. But with that being said, folks, let's get going and crack on with the slides. So, first of all, myself, I worked in the industry for over 6 years, 6.5 years it will be now. Started when I was just the age of 18, although beforehand I was doing work experience and gym instructing, so I've really been in and about gyms from the age of 16. So I've got a fair amount of experience and worked with a vast majority of clients, from weight loss to muscle gain, to strength and conditioning, to athlete performance, to rehabilitation, you name it. More or less, I've worked with them all. So, where have I been able to take my own training? So, taking myself a couple of years back now, I've competed in 2 physique shows. No placings in either, which is absolutely fine. I embraced the experience. Loved it's probably exaggerating it. I don't know why I done it a second time. I hated the first time round. I enjoyed the experience of getting up on stage, but the process really put a big strain on relationships, and even my own mental health. I don't think it was healthy for me at the time, and that's probably why I will never compete again. That's not to say that it's a bad thing. I just don't agree with them as much anymore. It's nice to be able to get yourself in that shape, but no one really knows the full extent of what you need to go through to get into that shape in the first place, unless you've done it yourself. Um, more or less get into health and fitness, quite generic. Come from a football background, always been sporty, been one of the fitter kids in school. From there, as soon as I turned 16, I wanted to join a gym. Kind of fell out of love with football a wee bit. I knew I wasn't good enough basically to make it. And then from there, I went to the gym. I'd been going to the gym for, God, a year without seeing any results really. And I thought, you know what, I should be seeing something by this time. So I then got a personal trainer and I started seeing results within the first 6 weeks. And I thought, do you know what, this is brilliant. I see more results in 6 weeks than what I've seen the past year. It's been money well spent. It's been a good investment. If I can do this to myself, how can I help other people? And that's how we get into personal training. Lastly, just in terms of speaking and going through PowerPoints and presentations, I've took seminars at both Zurich and East Ayrshire Council as well as in the gyms doing seminars and PowerPoints, presentations, going over more or less what I'm going over with you now. Right, more so on our weight loss and nutrition then, because that's what we're all here for at the end of the day. So, weight loss, the process is simple, the application is not so simple. What do I mean by that? Well, simple. In terms of weight loss, it's calories in versus calories out. As long as your calorie output is higher than your input, so your output's your activity, the calories you burn, and your input is the food you eat or the drinks or anything you shove in your mouth basically, as long as your output's higher, you lose weight. And that's as simple as it is. Calories just another word for energy. So as long as your energy output's higher than your energy input, what you're shoving in your mouth, then you're absolutely fine. You're in a calorie deficit and you'll continue to lose weight, and that's the science of it. You won't lose the weight unless you're in the calorie deficit. So that's not even me sugarcoating this. It's not me. I'm not overcomplicating it. Obviously, this is as simple as it needs to be, and I know there's a lot of so-called fitness experts and entrepreneurs out there who try to overcomplicate things and tell me all about sorry, not gluten. No gluten. Go high carb. Go low carb. Go high fat. Go don't listen to it. Do the diet that fits you best and the diet I gave you to adhere to. So if you're on a weight loss goal, as long as you're in a deficit, you will lose weight. It's not so much about what you eat; it's about how much you eat. Like I said earlier. Right. Okay. So obesity. And just to get an understanding of what obesity actually is. So, someone with a BMI of over 30 is morbidly obese. Someone with a BMI of over 30 and morbidly obese if over 40. Someone with a very high body fat percentage. Sometimes I don't like going by, or all the time I don't like going by BMI, which is your body mass index. It takes your weight for height into consideration, yes, but I want you to think Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime bodybuilding days. Now, he would have had a BMI of over 30, possibly over 40. Look at the nick he was in. Was he obese? He certainly was not, but did his body mass index say he was obese? It did, because it took in consideration his weight for his height. That's why I don't like going off body mass index, and I would rather go by body fat percentages. So, what causes obesity? Overeating and little to no activity. So, energy input high, energy output low. What can it lead to? Diabetes, heart disease, stroke, mental health problems. You don't want any of that. But with that being said, if you feel like you're struggling with areas like this now, can it be reversed? Can it be fixed? Of course it can. Of course it can. How do we do that? Well, we do that by getting into a calorie deficit and upping the activity, which would help us get into the calorie deficit. So we will talk more on that as we get onto the slides. But absolutely, work out how many, or I should have done it for you. how many calories you should be on to be dropping weight, and you need to stick to these consistently. Keep it sustainable. Okay, so how do we know our output is greater than our output? How do we know we're being active enough or we're keeping our calories under control? So I use the Harrison Benedict equation, which is what I would have worked out for all of you, basically, in your calorie needs. So all you do for this is just to give you an understanding of how to work out your calories or how to be in a deficit. So all we do for this is go online, find a basal metabolic rate calculator. Very easy. Go into Google, type in BMR calculator. No bother. Now all this does is work out your metabolism, which is how many calories you're burning on a daily basis through involuntary muscle action, through doing nothing. How many calories you need on a daily basis just to maintain weight without taking activity, into the equation. So that'll work out how many calories you need to be on a daily basis just to maintain weight without taking activity into the equation. And then what we're going to do from here is sort of ask you things like your height, your weight. It will ask you your age, gender, blah blah blah. Then what we do from here is categorize yourself into one of these categories. Little to no exercise, you're going to times your BMR by 1.2. Light exercise by 1.375, moderate by 1.55, active by 1.725, and very active by 1.9. Now, categorising yourself. Little to no exercise, you're an office worker, you don't get out of the house. Light exercise, office worker, maybe get out the odd walk, maybe play a game of five-a-sides every week, something like that. Moderate activity, okay, so we up it slightly, so this could be somebody like a nurse, somebody who's on their feet all day, but that would probably be all their activity. Active, so I class that as, again, you could be a nurse or you could work in construction, something where you're active all day at work and you like to go to the gym on top of things, or you maybe go to sports clubs or whatever on top of things as well. Very active is the athlete status, so that would be people like myself. Only joking. So, people, yeah, athlete status. So you're in sports clubs, you go to the gym, you're a very active job, or your job is being an athlete. That would be classed as very active. Now, do your math, whatever your BMR is, times it by whatever you categorise yourself in. Now, this brings you to maintenance. This tells you how many calories you need to be on a daily basis to be maintaining weight. This is with taking your activity into equation, because we've just done it there as we categorised ourselves. This brings you to maintenance. Now, what do we want to do if we want to lose weight? Drop by 500. Drop that by 500, that'll take you to whatever it takes you to, and that brings you on a fairly healthy deficit, and you'll absolutely drop weight by doing that. Like I say, I should have all this set up for you anyway, but this video is to give you a greater understanding of how I got there and how I came to that equation, and so you'll get the knowledge to stay with you forever, stay with you a lifetime, so you can perhaps work it out for yourself in the future. Now, we're going to talk about NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So, yep, what this slide says, activity without the gym environment. So, without thinking about doing activity, doing things you enjoy, without doing things you don't even realise you're doing. So, you'll see the white box down the bottom right. It's got things like dancing, taking the stairs, park far away at stores, wear a pedometer and set a step goal, walk during your lunch break, use a standing desk, things that basically just keep you active. So, yep, it could be that game of five-a-sides you play with your mates. It could be, yep, parking away further from the supermarket so you've got a further distance to walk. It could be walking to work or taking the bike instead of taking the car. It could be parking away the furthest spot at the gym. It could be a dance class you go to. It could be, yeah, I remember actually, it was when I was dieting for one of my shows, and I used to get the bus into Glasgow, where a gym I worked in at the time, and I had 15 minutes wait, say, for my bus. And it was a nice day, don't get me wrong, it was a nice day. I thought 15 minutes, right, to sit, play my phone. I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to go a wee walk round the town, and that'll take me to my 15, bring me back, and then I'd accumulated, say, 1,000 steps in that time. And like I say, that time my steps up, that time my activity up, and that was 15 minutes I had to spare anyway. I was going to just sit playing about my phone. I might as well just have been active. So that's things like your need fitting in your activity where you can, but without actually having the gym on your mind or without having a run or something on your mind. Take your steps up, use the stairs, not a lift, take the dog a walk, anything at all like that. Because this sort of stuff is very underestimated when it comes to dropping weight. So make sure you're taking that activity up. Steps are massively underrated. If you've got a pedometer, brilliant. If you've not, get one. Get one. Right, okay. MyFitnessPal, my favourite slide. So, MyFitnessPal. So we should all have that downloaded. It's my means of tracking food. Basically just acts as a food diary. So yeah, tracks calories, tracks your energy input anyway. It tracks your macronutrients, which we will come on to talk about, as your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. It's good because it works with flexible dieting. It means there's no food off the table. It means you can basically have what you want, and it works over a weekly total compared to a daily total. So what I mean by that is, let's just for here's sake, because it's an easy number, say you're on 2,000 calories a day. Now don't see that as 2,000 calories a day, see it as 14,000 calories a week, because 2,000 times 7 days of the week obviously. So with that being said, you're on a weight loss goal, you're on 2,000 calories a day, and it comes to Monday, first day of the week, and it's been a stressful one. There's a big packet of custard creams waiting on you. When you go up the road, boom, you're at 2,800 for the day. What happened? That's alright. Most people would say, naff it, give up, it's too hard, I'll start next week, I'll start tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. No, you can claw it back. You can claw it back. So if you're on 2,800 on that day, right, there's 800 we need to make up for the rest of the week. So what we'll do, let's take 200 off the next 4 days as a sort of punishment. So there you go, Tuesday to Friday, you went 1,800 and you've just clawed back your 800 that you went over. Hope that makes sense. So by the time you get to Saturday, you got your 2,000 again to play with because you've just clawed 800 back. And then by the time you get back around to next Monday, your daily calorie average is the same as what it would have been anyway. You've just had one higher day and a couple of lower calorie days to make up for it. It fits in with life so much better that way. Another good example of that is you've maybe got a big night out, it's a birthday party or it's family dinner or something at the end of the week. You know you're going to overeat, you know you're going to drink, you know you want a kebab on the way up the road, right? Okay. Instead of 2,000, let's go 1,800 Monday to Friday. And on Saturday, I've got my 2,000 and I've got an extra 1,000 that I saved up to play with, which means when we get back around to the Monday, again, daily calorie average is still the same, and you've not, because trust me, it's very easy to sabotage progress in the space of a weekend. I've seen it done so many times. So you could stick to your 2,000 Monday to Friday, and then go out 3,000 this Saturday, and pardon me, you're hungover, and the Sunday and it's 3,500, and you think, oh, you step in the scales on Monday, like, what has happened? Well, you were good Monday to Friday, but you ruined it at the weekend. Instead of being a deficit, you've actually went into a surplus, and that's how you've gained weight this week. So it's all one being good Monday to Friday, but it's about being accountable and taking into consideration what you maybe have on at the weekends as well to make up for that. So it fits in with life very well, I think, in that sense. That's why I love it so much. And don't get me wrong, it can feel like a bit of a pain in the backside, but it's a very handy tool. See it as anything else you have to do on a daily basis. You need to go to the toilet, you need to go to work, you need to get up out of bed, you need to take supplements, you need to eat food. Make it part of your day. I'm not going to lie, I do it every night before I go to bed. So many calories I've had. I mean, I don't recommend doing that, to be honest. You're probably better. The best way to do it is probably in the morning before, and if you plan out your day, your meals, then you know exactly what you need to have to hit your macronutrients and to hit your calories for the day. But with that being said, personalise it yourself, do what works for you. I do it at night time, you're probably best doing it in the morning. You can do it as you go. It takes 5 minutes. Get it done. Right, okay, so yeah. Good in that sense that quantity of food is vital. So brings me back to what I was talking about before when I was saying, especially when it comes to weight loss, it's not what you eat, it's how much you eat. Your calories will determine your weight, calories in versus calories out. Your macronutrients and your training will determine your shape. So everything must be tracked, and this is one of the common mistakes with MyFitnessPal is people leave out things like butter, like juice, like oils. See anything that's in that food, or see anything you're sticking in your mouth whatsoever, it needs to be accounted for, or else what's the point? Like, trust me, there's hidden calories in, well, not hidden calories, but there's calories, and quite a lot of calories in these things we tend to miss out. So try and be precise with the quantity of food you're putting in and how much you're and what you're actually tracking. Keep measurements in either grams or milliliters. I think it's an American app, to be honest, so it'll give you things like ounces, it'll give you cups. Don't just second guess it. I mean, I don't really get anyone measuring out their foods because I don't like getting that obsessive about it. If you want to measure it, it will only benefit you. But with that being said, use common sense with things. If you've got a 300 gram box of cereal, say, and it says 30 grams per serving, then that's 10 servings. But see, if you've finished it in 3, you've had more than 30 grams. So the quantity of food you're putting in is very important when it comes to tracking on MyFitnessPal in your food diaries, because you could think you're eating a lot less than what you actually are. And like I was saying before in the last slide, it's habitual. It's said it takes 3 weeks to turn something you don't enjoy doing into a habit, or to change your routine into a habit, which I think is very true. I've been tracking now for the past, 2, 3, don't know how many years, and it's just part of my day now. It was a pain in the backside at first, but now it's just, like I say, it's part of my day, the same as going to the toilet is, the same as eating my food is, cooking my lunch, whatever it is. So make sure you're utilising that and using that to the best of your ability. Right, okay, we'll go on and talk about macronutrients next. So each food is made up of 3 macronutrient components. You have proteins, and you have carbohydrates and fats. So, firstly, we'll talk about protein, the most important one to me, because when we're training, we want to be building muscle. So, with that being said, protein does exactly that. It builds and repairs the muscle tissue. You just need to have the training accompanied along with it to be able to do that properly or effectively. So, what sources do we get protein from? So, you'll get them from any meat, any fish, eggs, and protein supplements. And this is all your primary sources. You'll get wee bits and bobs from some carbohydrates and some fat sources as well, but these are your primary sources. How much protein should we be on a daily basis? Now, rewind to when I was talking about the calories, and I was saying you can go over a weekly total. Now, you can't do that with protein. Your protein needs to be consistent for protein synthesis. Therefore, the way to work that out is I go 1 gram per pound of body weight, or 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So do the math for yourself. Again, I should have worked all this out for you. It should already be done. This is just to give you a better understanding of how I got there. So that's you worked that out. What does protein do? It gives off the toned and the defined look. Like I say, it builds and repairs the muscle tissue. Make sure you're getting enough in consistently every day, but also at the same time, make sure you're not having too much. I try and go 30 gram either side of where you should be. Anything over that, I mean, your body's not going to utilise it because it has no properties for it. It will store it as fat for energy if it's got no use for it in the body. So make sure you don't overeat either. Too much protein's not good. Right, I would say that's more or less protein covered. Go on, talk about carbohydrates and fats next. Now, with carbohydrates and fats, I mean, I'll not, I'll go into some detail about them, but at the end of the day, the way I see it is these have very similar properties, and I like to focus on just solely two things when it comes to training, or when it comes to nutrition, sorry. Number one is my calories. That's my priority. Okay, what have I said before and what have I always said? This will determine your weight, what size you are. Calories in versus calories out. So calories is your number one priority. Number two priority is protein. This determines your shape, along with the right training, builds and repairs the muscle tissue. See, as long as you don't go overboard with your calories, as long as you hit your protein for the day, if you have calories to spare, eat what you want. Eat what you want. We will come on and talk about moderation anyway in the next couple of slides, but this is the way I see it. Carbohydrates and fats, yes, they're vital, but you know what? If your fats are higher, take your carbs down. If your carbs are higher, take your fats down. Focus on your calories, focus on your protein. Don't overcomplicate things. This is what will get you in shape. So, what are they? Well, both are used as an energy source. Carbohydrates are primary energy source. This way I never get it when people cut out carbs from their diet. They like to go low carb diets when they're trying to lose weight. And the reason low carb diets lose weight is because carbohydrates hold water. So if you're not having any carbohydrates, you're not holding any water. So you're losing a lot of weight rapidly. But it's not the right weight, it's water weight. Why would you take away your primary energy source when you want to be smashing gym sessions? I mean, if you don't have carbohydrates, you don't have your primary energy source, you can't hit the gym session nowhere near as enough as what you'd been able to before with your primary energy source there. So why take it away? Food for thought. So carbohydrates, you have got two types. You've got simple carbs and you've got complex carbs. Your simple carbs metabolize a lot faster. This is things like your sugars, your whites, so things like white pasta, white rice, white bread, metabolize a lot faster. These are what's known as high GI carbs, high glycemic index carbs, that stands for. And these are the ones that better to have around training times just because they're absorbed and digested a lot quicker. So pre-post workout, you're sort of thinking high GI carbs. Although I don't want to go too much into meal timings and stuff. I don't want to overcomplicate things too much when we don't need to. Yeah, so and then our fats. Now our fats yield 9 calories per gram. This is why, again, on weight loss diets, why would you possibly go high fat? If you like high fat foods, then fine. But 9 calories per gram of fat, 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. This ultimately means you can have twice as much weight and carbohydrates as what you could in fats, which means you're effectively eating more, or you're training your mind to think you're actually eating more than what you are, even though it's the same amount of calories as half the fats would be. So again, food for thought. If you're on a weight loss goal, tends to be you're going to be feeling the hunger sometimes. So you want to be training your mind to think you're eating more than what you actually are. So you get 3 types of fats as well. You've got saturated fats, you've got trans fats, and you've got polyunsaturated and monounsaturated fats. So your saturated fats come from things like meats and dairy. Think red meats, think your steaks, think not so much pork, beef, lamb. Your fattier meats, dairy products. There's milk, cheese. This is your saturated fats. Trans fats, very little value to the body. Try and steer clear. This is things like your oils, and your fast foods, your butters. Steer clear if you can. Like I say, very little value to the body, very little nutritional value to the body. So you've got your polyunsaturates and your monounsaturates, which are subcategories of your saturates. So sorry, there's two types of fats, and this is your subcategory here. So these both lower bad cholesterol levels. That's things like nuts, nut butters is your polyunsaturates, and your monounsaturates provide fatty acids your body doesn't produce. So things like omega-3 and 6. So you get that through vegetable and fish oils. Think of oily fish like mackerels, like salmons. I don't want the word fat to be putting anyone off having fats, because they do have essential properties in the body. Like I've just said with your monounsaturates, they provide fatty acids the body doesn't produce on its own. So think of things like your salmons and your mackerel, your higher fat foods. That provide your body with these omega-3s and 6 and keep it in a healthy state. So, with that being said, do not diminish fats, do not leave them out the diet. They do have their value in the diet as well. Just thinking back to our priorities though, calories in versus calories out. If these yield 9 calories per gram, you're probably better choosing carbohydrates over fats, but that's not to say diminish them completely. I would just have some form of them in your diet, so you are producing these fatty acids, and you are keeping up your body in that healthy state. Right, okay, portion control. Not spend too much on this one because I kind of went over it a couple of slides ago as well. So, main foods to watch out for: butter, oils, spreads, sauces, liquids, things that you don't even think about putting into your MyFitnessPal, but things that amount to a lot of calories. If you have a roll and bake in the morning, you don't put in the butter, and then you've got you're frying your steak or whatever at night with olive oil. You have a piece of peanut butter. You get some barbecue sauce for your lunch, and you're drinking it all with a can of Coke. Think of the amount of calories you're missing out there. Like the butter, you're going to have 100 odd. Oils, but another 100, 150. Spreads, if it's peanut butter, they're probably talking about 250, 300. What's your portion size with them? Sauces, you're talking about another 50 to 100. Liquids, can of Coke, so you're having 2 of them a day. There's another 400. There's about 800 calories I've just added up there through stuff that we would just tend to forget. 800 calories is a lot if you're doing that every day, especially. Always measuring grams and milliliters when it comes to liquids. We talked about that when we were talking about MyFitnessPal. Serving size on box will more often than not be less than your portion size. Yep, that's true. Think of the cereal box I talked about before, or I was talking about before. If it says 300 grams, it says 10 servings, but you're finishing it in 3, you ain't having 30 grams. You ain't having a 30-gram serving. You're having a 100-gram serving. So times it by over 3, times it by 3.33, and that's how much you're having. Don't forget to add the milk either when it comes to cereal. But just a wee example for you. Now, one of my favourite ones, flexibility in your diet. So, the best plan in the world is the one you will adhere to. So true. So true. So, it needs to be sustainable. It needs to be adherable. If it's not, you're not going to stick to it. So is that a good plan? I could give you the hardest plan in the world, one that's going to get you in the best shape of your life, but it means you need to be training 7 days a week, 5 hours at a time, and you need to be eating 500 calories a day. Are you going to do it? Maybe for a day, but you're not going to do it for long. So, circular of that, you've got to find what's personalised to you, which I should be doing for you, and you've got to find what works for you. So, I wouldn't advise going cold turkey on sugars and fast foods. I would actually just keep them in the diet. If you go cold turkey over something, you want it even more, and the chances are you will binge after a couple of weeks. so don't diminish these foods completely. Everything in moderation is fine. In fact, I encourage it. If you get calories out to play with at the end of the day or at the end of the week, you've not went overboard with calories, you've been hitting your protein, you've been good with training, eat what you want. Eat what you want. It's going to stop you wanting to binge. And it's going to make your dieting a whole lot easier. It's going to make it enjoyable in a sense as well. Calories must be made a priority over anything else. I think I've enforced that. Think about how much you eat compared to what you eat. So yep, I would say I've pretty much enforced that as well. When it comes to your weight, it's how much you eat over what you eat. Ways of fitting less dense nutrient foods into your diet. So if it fits your macros, yep, like I say, if you hit your protein, don't go over your calories, have what you want to eat. MyFitnessPal tracking, we went over all of that. You have the flexibility in your diet, we just went over it in the last slide. Have what you want, honestly. Don't make yourself feel guilty for an Easter egg. Don't make yourself feel guilty for having a McDonald's. Have what you want to eat. As long as it's accounted for and you've tracked it, then it is absolutely fine. It won't make a difference to you. Weekly calorie counting, we went over that. Again, hearsay, you're on 2,000 a day, times that by 7, 14,000. And make that's your weekly total. Don't go over that. Bank your calories through the week, or if you went over, save up till you get back down to your daily calorie average. Go healthier options, so things that leave you feeling fuller for longer. This is things like your protein foods, your meats, your fishes, filling your plate full of veg. Again, because you're eating more, or you're tricking your body to think you're actually having more than what you're actually having. Use cheat meals as a reward or an incentive. Right, I've been good this week. I've got calories left to spare. Where are we going for dinner? It's a good reward. It's a good incentive. It gets you through the week of training. It gets you through the week of dieting as well. I've been good this week. I'm going to be good to myself. And you know what? I've saved the calories up to do so. I deserve it. And you'll be 100% right. You do deserve it. So, last slide I will go over. And again, another good one, because if it's not sustainable, then it's not the plan for you and you're not going to do it. So, yep, this is the most important factor. Do not use all your tools at once. I think this is why I drip feed these videos, and this is why I drip feed information, because if I give you even this slide here, I'll feel like so much all at the one time. But if I drip feed you information, I give you different tasks every week. Small tasks. This week I want you to focus on your calories. Next week I want you to focus on your protein. Week after I want you to try a new veg. Week after that, try and take your fibre content up. Blah 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 blah. That's a lot easier than get this much sleep, train this amount of days, do this with your diet, drink this much. Well, if that's too much, it's too hard, and I'm not going to do it. It needs to be sustainable. Do not go cold turkey. Yep, we talked about that. We do not want to let ourselves binge by doing so. Do not sicken yourself of the gym. Yeah, absolutely. If you've got a plan to say 3 days a week, brilliant. Go your 3 days a week. If you want to go any more, brilliant. I don't advise going 7 days a week when you first start, going for 2 hours at a time, because it seems like a good idea at a time, but you do sicken yourself of it, and then you think, nah, do you know what, this isn't for me. Sustainability. Do something that you can adhere to over a longer period of time. Short, medium, long term goal planning. Yep. So we should have all done this during the consultation process. So yeah, short, medium, long term goal planning. You should have one of these in mind. Short term, next 4 to 6 weeks. Medium term, 3 to 4 months. Long term, next year. Where do you want to be this time next year? This is going to keep you motivated with your training and your nutrition as well. Oh, pardon me. The little things make a big difference. So I think that's referring back to my MyFitnessPal and the things that we don't actually add in the MyFitnessPal, which all add up, like our butters, our oils, our spreads. Make sure they're all accounted for. They make a massive difference. Flexible dieting, yep, needs to be flexible. Needs to have some of your foods in that maybe aren't so good for you in moderation, as long as you're accountable to them. Because if not, then it's not sustainable. You're not adhere to it. If this is something you don't enjoy, you will not do it. This is why this is the most important factor. NEAT. Make sure you get your NEAT in. Make sure you're doing activity outside of the gym as well as inside the gym. Be sensible. Be sensible with your food choices. I've just give you 15 slides, 15 reasons why you need to be sensible and how you can be sensible. It's important you adhere to that and refer back to this video as well whenever times you may be struggling, or ask me for help, or ask anyone for help. Be sensible with things. Don't be afraid to ask. And last but not least, happiness comes first. But yep, again, another important one. So, foods we enjoy, training we enjoy, doing things we enjoy. If you're on an off day, don't give yourself on the ball, don't get obsessive, get back on track tomorrow, account for it, and let's get back on top of things. But yes, happiness comes first, so make sure you're doing so. I hope this video has been informative to you guys. You've been able to take a good bit of knowledge from it, and I hope you're all able to apply it to your own training in the next coming weeks, and expect more videos over the next couple of weeks as well. Okay, folks, thank you. Any questions, to just give me a message or an email back, okay?